But first, Timmy, hockey, July 1st, fast approaching, and there are so many questions hanging in the air. John Shannon, Tim and Sid Global Ambassador, is joining us via the FaceTime as we see his face, and he gives us time here live on Tim and Sid. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you?
Very good.
I'm good, but I'm a little worried. Maybe worried's not the word. I'm starting to get the impression, John, this restricted free agency aspect of what we're about to see from an offer sheet standpoint, I don't know if it's going to materialize. I think it's a lot of talk. I think it's very little action. What's your gut telling you?
I couldn't agree with you more, Sid, and I don't think I've ever said that in my life. Because I don't see very much, if any, action. I think that on the outside there may be one player, and he's second from the bottom there, that actually might see an offer sheet. It just I look at everybody else and I see the opportunity for teams to either decide and I don't think they're going to be teams in much of a hurry at this point either. I think they're going to take their time and work their way through some of the conversations. But to me, the only one that has an outside chance is Sebastian Aho, I think.
Is the Aho because he might fall under the number where you would have to give 4 first-round picks?
Yeah, I mean it's and you can still pay him more than $10 million per season to do that. And I just knowing how Thomas Dundon is running the Hurricanes, I think that that type of number might scare the Canes off, but it might not scare some teams who want Aho's talents. They won't scare them off. To me, he's the obvious choice, but I don't see an offer sheet coming from Marner. I don't see in any general manager's right mind getting rid of 4 first-round picks. To me, it contradicts every aspect of what a general manager is supposed to be doing for the long-term health of his team.
But hypothetically, John, if a team has drafted well and hasn't had to pay some players yet, if you give up 4 first-rounders for a Matthew Tkachuk or a Marner, it's a steep price. But, I mean, I'll give up a first-rounder for either guy tomorrow. That's not the issue. And if you've already drafted well in some other areas and feel like you can give up the next 3 years of the draft, I'm just trying to make the argument. I think if you've drafted well and those first-rounders aren't necessarily a hit, could you justify it?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, that's why I mean 4 first-round picks, 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. I just do not see that logically. And I don't know how you could walk into your owner's office and say, we're so deep, we're so strong, our window of opportunity to win the Stanley Cup is going to be in the next 4 years, guaranteed. And this one player is going to make the difference, and we're going to sacrifice our first-round pick, even if that pick is in that 26 to 31 and in the 4th year 32 position. I would just be amazed about that. I mean, I'm not denying Mitch Marner or any of the other restricted free agents, guys like Matthew Tkachuk, their talents. I'm just saying the price is so darn steep that it to me it doesn't make much sense. It really doesn't.
We have often heard when talking about these very talented RFAs that the bridge contract is dead. And I think about what Kevin Cheveldayoff is going to have to do to get under the cap and keep specifically two very talented RFAs in the fold, and Patrick Laine and Kyle Connor. Has he put himself in a good enough position where he can re-sign both of those and maybe they're longer-term deals, or might we see the bridge in Winnipeg?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the bridge for Laine. Because remember, Patrick's coming off of an okay second season. It wasn't as good as his rookie year, but I think the 29 goals might be in such a manner that people are going to say that he wasn't as good in year 2, and perhaps he's got to reprove himself. The construction of what Kevin's going through in Winnipeg is a rather interesting one. Already getting rid of Jacob Trouba. He knows he's losing Tyler Myers. There are some opportunities there to pick up some slack. But Kyle Connor's not a lock either. And when you ask for offer sheets and you ask for interest of other players, Connors appears to be a name that's always on that list. And I think we all know what Kyle Connor can do. I mean, he's a pure goal scorer. He's got a great set of hands and seemed to really mesh better at times with Wheeler and Scheifele than Laine did. So from that perspective, I think when you look at what Connor offers and what Laine offers, they might be prepared to go to a longer commitment for Connor than they would Patrick Laine.
Let's go to the UFAs, Mr. Shannon. How much better does Matt Duchene make a team? What kind of player is he in your mind?
Wow. That's a really interesting question. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm not a Matt Duchene fan. But, Matt Duchene's value, I think, has been, I might think it's been a little overhyped over the years. I had friends in Columbus that talked about what a good teammate he was and how he helped the team. And obviously he was part of that 4-game sweep of Tampa that was so vital to the franchise. But you know what? He doesn't have a great record of having teams in the playoffs. And that to me is one of those ones where if you have him in a role where he's supposed to be the team leader, perhaps he's not as valuable as say some others. I do think that he fits well into Nashville. Nashville's got a lot of personalities. They've got a lot of stars. They've got a lot of leaders. And I think Matt Duchene would fit very well into Nashville. At the same time, you keep hearing rumblings that maybe Matt Duchene's the right answer in Montreal, where, again, they seem to have some new hope in Montreal. They've done a great job there in the last 18 months. I mean, Montreal, let's face it, Montreal's gone from being a team that had no hope 18 months ago to a team now that is very promising, and Matt Duchene might fit in well there too.
So what's I feel like there's a lot of pumping of the tires that's going on right now, especially over the last little while as we head into July 1st, and that some of these numbers are agents trying to get the number out there where they want to be.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, and they'll fall a little bit lower. But then you see like Kevin Hayes gets $7 million. Like, what are we looking at for a Matt Duchene? And could Montreal outbid Nashville for a guy like Matt Duchene?
It's not like basketball, guys, where you're talking max deals and everybody knows the numbers in max deals on the 4-year deals, on the 5-year deals, on the hometown deals. But I think it's pretty darn close. And when you put not just the Kevin Hayes deal on the table, you put the Jeff Skinner deal on the table to stay in Buffalo, you're giving a pretty good indication of where the numbers are going to be. Matt Duchene is going to be close to $10 million for 7 years, and you have to wonder if it's worth it. That's a long time and a lot of money. I'm more concerned almost with the 7 years than I am the $10 million at this point. But when you look at what Artemi Panarin is going to do, they offered what I would describe in Columbus. They offered him basically a max deal to stay, and he didn't. And perhaps he's not going to get that kind of money in the real world, except in Florida, where Dale Talon has said we're going to have a much better team and we're going to spend to the cap.
Right.
If I'm close to a cup, John, and Tim and I kind of kicked this around earlier, and I look at a guy like Joe Pavelski, that is an enticing signing for me. And I think term could be reasonable. Where do you think Joe Pavelski lands in all this?
Do I know? I don't know. But I have a sense, that there's two guys that to me that are very interesting. Pavelski's one, and Matt Zuccarello's the other. In essence, there's a chance that Pavelski actually might replace Zuccarello in Dallas. And Pavelski, with the leadership that he provides and with the talent that he has, to have the opportunity to take away some of the scoring or some of the pressure of scoring off of that Sagan, Ben, Radulov group in Dallas, Pavelski might fit pretty well there and might provide some good leadership for a team that at times you wondered where the leadership was supposed to come from. So I'm kind of leading towards Tom Glardy and the Dallas Stars.
I watch enough John Shannon to know that he's a big Matt Zuccarello fan.
I love Matt Zuccarello. and I tell you what, the first 40 minutes he played it for Dallas in that Chicago on that Sunday afternoon, you got a real sense of what kind of player he is. Unfortunately, he broke his arm in the third period.
All right. Johnny, always a pleasure catching up with you. Keep pressing our needs as the global ambassador, and hopefully we reach the same levels as the Raptors global ambassador.
Well, I just want you to know that when I get my plane, you're both invited.
All right, perfect.
Right.
Perfect. When?
We'll be flying high, John. All three of us. Thank you.
We'll be doing something high.
We'll be doing
That's for sure.
Especially if you have a plane.
Yep.
Never mind.
Well played, John. Well played. John Shannon, Sportsnet. Thank you very much, sir.